Thank you for joining me on my masterclass. Now, today I'm going to be explaining why this is the wrongest time to buy a house. Buying a house, owning a home is a good thing. However, there is the right time to do a good thing, and right now is not the right time. And the reason being that the housing market is going down. The housing market is going down, and there are a variety of reasons. You see, just this past quarter, the housing market in the United States lost $1.3 trillion. Dollars. That's $1.3 trillion. Dollars. And if you consider that the global GDP, that's the entire worth of everything on earth, is about 88 trillion. So that's more than 1% of the global GDP. That's almost 2% of the global GDP. Not quite, but almost. I think it's something like maybe 1.7% of the global GDP just wiped out in a quarter. What's a quarter? 3 months. And that's not ending. It's going to continue. It's going to continue. And you have to understand that there's going to be contagion. There's going to be financial contagion and there's going to be market contagion. What's financial contagion? What's happening in the world right now is that before the COVID pandemic, you had the world's biggest economy. You had America, the European Union, England. You had them, indulging in modern market theories, modern monetary theories. And basically, what that means is that they were printing a lot of money, free money. They were printing a lot of money. They thought it was going to drive their economic growth, and to some extent it did, but they didn't factor in that we're going to have a global pandemic, which led to a lockdown, which meant that people could not produce, could not work, or at least could not produce or work as much as before. And so they needed a lot of free money in the form of furloughs, in the form of government social security for people who lost their jobs because of the lockdown and the pandemic. So there was a lot of free money in the economy. And then the government had to look for ways after the pandemic was over, after the lockdowns was over, to take away that free money from the economy. Otherwise, it was going to lead to inflation. And then something happened that maybe not a lot of people could have foreseen. Putin decided to invade Russia. And then when he invaded Russia, there had to be sanctions from the Western powers. And those sanctions came in the form of Russian gas, Russian oil. They said you're not going to buy Russian gas and Russian oil. And so what happened is that Russia found other ways, other countries, countries like China, India, some countries in the Far East, few countries in Africa to buy their oil. And so it affected the price of oil. And because of these sanctions, the price of oil in the Western world, Europe, England, the United States, Canada, Mexico was affected. And you got to understand is that oil is the lifeblood of an economy. So if the price of oil goes up, it's going to affect consumer price index. It's going to affect inflation because people need fuel to transfer food from point A to point B, to transfer merchandise from point A to point B for retailers to sell. So it's affecting the price of everything. And so you're seeing that it's affecting these Western economies. And because it's affecting these Western economies, their central banks have to come in, have to step in, have to act. And you saw the US Federal Reserve Bank, I think on November 2nd, increase interest rates by 0.75 basis points. And then the next day, the Bank of England followed by exactly the same basis point, 0.75. And so you see that the pound is almost at an all-time low. It went to an all-time low this year, not an all-time low, at least, and for the past 45 years, and then it's really very, very low. And so you see that financial contagion is affecting the markets, it's affecting other currencies. And so you're seeing that, for instance, the Nigerian naira slumped. You see that the Kenyan shilling also slumped. You see that in Ghana, inflation in Ghana has hit over 40%. You see that in Cambodia, they're having challenges. So this is a financial contagion, a domino effect. And so the housing market is in crisis because when you're having these kinds of financial contagion, what can happen is that home prices are going to tank. In America, they're going to tank because the dollar is not devaluing. So they're tanking. So a home that was worth $1 million last month is now worth $850,000. It's lost 15% of its value, and that's not the end. It's going to go down. Like Bank of America is saying, possibly it's going to go down by as much as 45%. Now, in countries where they're seeing devaluation, because America has not seen devaluation, the dollar is still strong, but in countries where they're seeing devaluation, seemingly the housing market is going to sustain itself because the price is going up. But it's actually a deceit, because what's happening is that your currency is being devalued by maybe about 55%, and then the value of your house is going up by 15%. So in actual effect, the value of your house has gone down by 35%. So we need to wait for the world to correct itself. So for the world economy to correct itself, for this Russia-Ukraine war to be over. We don't know how when that's going to be. I think Macron and I think the Italian Prime Minister and some other people, they've gone to Ukraine, and I think that even the United States is using back channels to try to get Russia and Ukraine to talk, because the war is affecting everybody. And it's probably not even affecting Russia the way they thought it was going to be affecting Russia. Russia is almost gaining. Yeah, they're losing some other way, but economically they're gaining. So until the world economy corrects itself, the only way is down for the housing market. So you don't want to be buying an unstable asset right now that the price is going to be going down. You got to wait until the world economy corrects itself. You got to wait until currency stabilize. You got to wait until consumer price index is now at least more stable. And then inflation has been neutralized. Wait for inflation in the United States to go down. Right now it's about 8.2. Wait for it to go down to where it should be, maybe about 2.2, or at least max 4%. And then when all of that happens, then you can start buying houses, because the prices are going to now come back to what it should be. You're going to have some what they call an economic equilibrium. You're going to have an economic equilibrium. We're not at that yet. We're not even nearly where we need to be. So buying a house right now is going to be a mistake. Now, I hope that I've been able to explain these complex economic terms to you in simple layman's everyday English. But if you've listened to me and you have questions arising from what I've said, that's okay. I'll respond to your questions. Put them in the comment section of this video, and my staff are going to bring them to me, and I'll do my best to respond to them. But you've got to remember, I do not have a WhatsApp forum, a Telegram channel, or a Gmail email address. Scammers see that my videos tend to go viral, and so they create a number of fake YouTube profiles with my images on it, and they approach you and they say, helpline, guideline, come to me, I'll help you invest your money. Everything I do is free. I don't take money from anybody. If anybody approaches you in the comment section with that kind of idea, that is a scammer. This is when I'm marking the Apostle of Prosperity saying, God bless you.
But Reno travels all around the world. I hope you get inspired about what you see. Apostle of greatness, Reno is a master. Only one man against the whole world in large. Fighting with the monsters, poverty I can't stand. That's why Reno is